He says, I did my first real cross country race this past weekend and got second in my category. Way to go, Phil. He says, thanks to fitness help from TrainerRoad. But it left me wondering how the heck you actually execute any kind of strategy in a cross country race. When we started, I had no idea who or even how many people were in my age group. All the Cat 3s started at once. And without knowing this, I felt like I was chasing people for potentially no reason. Is it normal to be in that situation? Or is this maybe a case of race organizers being pressed for time? We'll answer those questions in just a bit. He also says, looking at the times afterwards, I was never going to catch the guy in first. I didn't know that in the moment and felt like I was going all out pretty much every second. I've never had a rider workout push me that hard, and I struggle to imagine a scenario where I could have strategically chased down someone in front of me. When comparing heart rate data, and he mentions that he doesn't have a power meter on his mountain bike yet, this race is about 50 minutes at threshold out of 58 minutes on the course. Is this a case of me overreaching? And then he asks, then he also mentions, in a well-executed race, should I have had more time around sweet spot and reaching beyond when attacking? Or is it normal to be on the ropes the whole time? And the ability to exceed that is the defining factor. He says, I did have a great time and even got passed by Alex House. And he mentions, I was standing still when the pro field came back around. That's cool. Alex House seems like a genuinely kind and awesome person.
He's a good guy right there.
He is. He's a good guy.
Fast athlete. Yeah, pretty cool. So, Nate, do you want to share, this is kind of like
normal. No clue.
But for a mountain bike race, is this like the chaos and the all out factor? Is that how your first mountain bike races felt, or did they feel different for you?
I let them go the first time, but after that, it's what I struggle with. I hope you're going to answer this, John, is how hard to go with at the beginning, because everyone goes too hard.
Everybody.
Everybody. And I can probably stay with, depending on the race, the front group. But it's about, I need to go hard enough to get in good position, but also not go too hard that it lowers my average power by a ton for the rest of the race. And then I actually end up having a lower result. And I don't know how to do that because I don't think I've ever nailed it. How you know is the rest of the race, if everyone keeps passing you, that's not a good sign. That's probably you went out too hard.
Yeah. Ivy actually, with cyclocross, it's not too dissimilar, right? So do you have any insight on that, on how to gauge whether you should really go all in and put all your chips on the table with that early move?
No. Just kidding. I feel like I kind of experienced this the other weekend when we were at Soldier Hollow, and we had 2 days of racing, and I had kind of different pacing strategies for both of them. And the first one was I felt like it was too hard. I felt like the start was too hard. And so I kind of, I left too much in the tank and kind of, the race was over and I was like, oh shoot, I didn't do that right. I made it more about my individual effort, and that was not the right thing to do ultimately. So the next day I was like, all right, well, I guess I just have to go way harder than I feel like I should. And I feel that's right because that's what the race is doing. And you just kind of have to, and that applies to cross too. For me, I feel like I let myself start harder than I maybe want to, if that's what the pace of the race is doing. And then that stuff that happens later in the race, that's where the upper end of your fitness comes in, and you just have to hope that it doesn't put you in a hole. Or that the pace of the leaders changes, but you really can't to answer the question, yes, it's chaotic. No, you can't, to some degree, you can't make it too much of an individual effort because the race will run away from you. It will feel more than you are able to do in the beginning, and that's okay.
It comes down to 3 factors for me: fitness, field, and course. And field meaning the people you're racing against. So I've shown up at races before and known that my repeatability is great and I'm really punchy and I can recover quickly. If I'm at low elevation, then I feel even better with that. I feel like I can just punch over and over. So if I have that sort of fitness profile versus if I'm in a situation where I haven't built up a lot of repeatability, but I'm pretty good at dieseling, that's going to change my approach. If I'm good at steadier power and a more consistent effort, I'm going to be more likely to let that group go when they go too hard. If I'm really good at repeatability, I'm going to let myself go with that group. If I know that I'm feeling fresh and fit and able to respond and attack and that sort of thing, I'm going to go with them. The field also matters though, because if you're racing against a lot of people that are from sea level and you're up at a high elevation race and you're used to high elevation, then I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to bank on them going really hard and probably blowing up. So I'm going to stick with them as much as I can. But if they're really going nuts, I'll just let them implode and then I'll sweep them all up later on. So it matters there. Also, if the field's just way stronger than you and you're just, going to be hanging on for dear life, I don't think that it's beneficial in most cases for you to try to match them. You're going to blow up and it's probably going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt them. Like when you're brought down to your knees, so to speak, and you're just pedaling as hard as you can, but that's really low. Like Nate said, your average power is really hurting for the rest of the race. Yours is probably going to be lower than theirs if you're really at a fitness disadvantage. And the course matters too. If it's a course, like actually we have great race analysis with Nate on a course where Keegan and I were looking at his race, and the start, Nate knew he didn't have to go completely crazy on the start because it had a pretty long double track section for a while. And people were probably going to hit their limit, which I find usually tends to be around 90 seconds to 3 minutes. That's when people are really going to start to hit their limit in a race. And then you're going to be able to pick them off thereafter. And Nate was like, I don't need to sprint and go crazy. I can just follow wheels for a bit because these people are gassing themselves and I'm not fighting for single track that's going to come up. If the track narrows into single track and you have a big field, then yeah, you have to. Like at Soldier Hollow, once again, for us, Ivy, we had like over 100 athletes on course for Cat 1 and it narrows into single track. And it was just massive and terrible bottlenecks that cost me minutes on the first lap. It was minutes slower than any lap thereafter. So if I was able to somehow sprint and get through all that, I could have saved a lot of time. So yeah, it really, those are like the main factors. One thing he mentions, this is something that Pete, I don't know if he did this intentionally, and I'm curious. Whenever Pete races a crit, he lines up in the back. He like goes to the very back and he's like feet away from everybody. And he's just like standing alone as Thor. It's very impressive, but why do you do that? Is that because you're trying to like figure out who your competition is, or what's the point there?
I want to make the beginning of the race as easy as possible. So I want to see what everybody's plan is. And if I'm behind everybody, I can see what they're doing. And this works better when there's 20 people or 25 people than if there's 100 people. But the other option is you can tell when someone is going to blow the whistle and you can clip in and start pedaling really slowly so you're not accelerating from the line. So it's super small. Like I'm doing 200 watts instead of 400 watts, but I'm able to pay attention better and I'm already rolling. And so you can see if someone's going to kind of attack from the gun, and that's going to change the dynamic. And you actually have all the small mini drafts as you're flying through the field to catch the person off the front. And again, this is a 20-person field, so we're not talking hundreds of yards to make up. But I want to make the beginning of the race as suited to me as possible. And like if it was a mountain bike race and there was single track within 60 seconds, I would do everything in my power to get to the single track as high up as I could. But if it's a climb, if it's a 20-minute climb, I'm not gonna worry. I'm gonna just slot in where I slot in, and however I end up at the top of the 20-minute climb is how I end up. So you can kind of play the cards in your favor at the beginning of a race, and then you either don't have to worry at all or you worry a lot. And I think those are it's a good way to tackle the beginning of the race, where you're going to put all your cards in for a specific action right at the beginning, or you don't worry at all. You know that there's other decisions that are going to be made over the first, say, little while of the race, and that you have no control over. It's just going to be how it's going to be.
Pete, though, if it's a high level race with 100 riders, you try to be up front, right? If you get strung out and
most
you
of the
stuck
time
at the back. Like, what was that race where you had the flat tire change and like you had to pass all these people and everyone's exploding? What's that race called?
It was in Speed Week. It's called man, I wish Jesse was here. I mispronounced it every time and he corrected me. I bet he'll say it in the live chat. But it was, that was a perfect example where I lined up at the back. It was a fast race with 100 people, and I had a terrible first 15 minutes. It was like as hard as I could possibly race just to stay in the field. And that's definitely not the way I would have picked that one. That was kind of a more technical course where you don't have the opportunity to move up. Like there's only a few opportunities on each lap, where if that's a deciding factor, you're saving yourself a bunch of work by being higher up. Another good example is in like Tour of America's Dairyland, like Shorewood is huge wide boulevards. When the race slows down, you can pass 75 people. And so you don't worry at all about positioning with that one. And your whole goal is to use as little energy as possible for the first, 10 or 15 or half an hour or whatever, or till the sprint. So when the course limits your abilities to move up, or if it's going to rain or something like that, there's all these factors that make advancing in the field very hard. And just you have to be able to kind of apply your skill set to those restrictions and then make those jives. So for a lot of people, being up at the front is easier unless you're the type of person that's going to blow up in the first 90 seconds when you're racing. Like if your VO2 effort is only 90 seconds and you're going to blow up and actually get passed by 25 people, maybe you actually want to surf through wheels on the way to the front instead of starting on the front row.
For cross country racing, I'm a front row advocate, like across the board. If you can get on the front row, it's the best spot to be in. That's why they do call ups, right? And the reason for that is because you can always let yourself drift back. Chances are it's not going to be like a criterium where it's like a bigger field, might be a little bit smaller, might be crazy big if you're like a junior racer. Those fields are huge. But if I'm an advocate of sitting on the front row, getting there, but also in this case, you didn't know who your competition was. And I've had that before where are you in the 30 plus age group or like, are you in the 20? Should I chase you? Should I not be letting you by or should I be letting you by? It's tough to know. A lot of the time event organizers will write down your age on your calf prior to, so that can be really helpful. But then the other thing that you can do is just get to the start gate area a little bit early. And then you'll see people that are coming in, whether it's you'll talk to them or you'll get some sort of information, you'll find out who's in your group. That can be a good way to do it. In terms of XC races feeling chaotic, they do. And I think that one of the hard things that you'll struggle with, that I always struggle with in cross country racing, is thinking of the end goal and not letting that dominate my decisions across the board. Because if I always thought about the end goal, I wouldn't make that move to go with that person. And I'd probably underestimate my ability to recover. And I'd overestimate my ability to be able to pull people back by the end of the race. And those two things can really make it so that you just get unsatisfactory results, or like you just underachieve, kind of like what Ivy was talking about. I did that in the TT as well. So you have to think about every decision point that's in front of you. And you do have to take some gambles for sure, but you don't want to do something where you feel like you're blowing up and then they're still going and you're holding with them for another 3 minutes. Like that's going to absolutely put you in a hole. But if it's a small thing where you can make a quick pass or respond to that quick attack to somebody and then just see if they hold it, chances are they're probably not a whole lot stronger than you. So they're probably going to ease up on whatever sort of effort that is. You can hedge those bets, but it does feel pretty chaotic. You do feel like you're all out. For you with heart rate, it makes sense that your heart rate was kind of sitting at threshold, but keep in mind that your power was probably definitely not at threshold the whole time. You're probably over it and then sitting far below into sweet spot and into tempo. That's just normal for a cross country race, but you do get used to the chaos. Amber was going to be in on this podcast. She's feeling under the weather, but she was talking about how the cognitive load of everything also makes you feel completely overwhelmed, and it takes a while to get used to it. But yeah, you're doing it right, I think. Does anybody else have anything to add on this one?
Jesse reminded me it's Hateville Crit, just outside of Atlanta, which was really fun. And we have a race video on that. That's Amber and I. That's fun to watch.
It is. It's a weird course, very different course than normal, right, Pete?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it was very very technical and had some elevation and terrible pavement. So it's like the trifecta of all the things that make a race hard.
It's scary.
Yay.
That's in my mind.
Have you done Gastown in Vancouver?
I have only once. That race, I think honestly, that's the hardest like single 45 minutes I've ever done in my entire life was at Gastown. Ryan Anderson was there and he was on Direct Energy, and they were throwing out like $1,000 preems. Oh, like every 5 minutes.
They do a preem on the first lap and then like on the third lap, and
yes,
just every lap is for you guys who aren't familiar with it, it's like in downtown or in a busy neighborhood in Vancouver, and there's like a cobbled pretty long drag climb.
Yes,
that's like
it's a climb.
It's real.
And it's
that
on
goes
cobbles.
On cobbles that goes into not quite 180, maybe like 160 degrees. downhill super fast to like it's kind of shaped like a triangle more or less. So like
And it's
everyone's
got
going
two.
bananas on
It's
the
got
uphill.
two decreasing
like
radius turns at the bottom. So you're going as fast as you possibly can after you're gassed from the cobble climb, and then you make like a wrong feeling right into a left, and then a left again, and it's all. The turns don't feel good. Everything's bad about that race. It's
again.
so hard.
The point is, there's like
fun.
it's so hard to move in that crit, and there's always a ton of like. It's very well attended, and if people line up like so early and like do some wild stuff to like get on course, like get the best starting position that they can, because once you start and the pace gets high, you just can't move. Like it's hard. It's
like a cross country race then.
Yeah.
Imagine if at a cross country race, everybody's aligning the barriers and the cyclists have shouldered their way in. And then the second the first race stops, people leap over the barriers with their bikes and like football crush each other to get on the start line. And it's 45 minutes before the race has started. That's what it's like.
Wow. This sounds crazy.
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.